another lead story we've been keeping tabs on for you. The North Gauteng High Court has heard what transpired on that fateful night in October 2014 when Senzo Meyiwa was murdered. His best friend, Silindelo Madlala's just wrapped his testimony for the day. He was in the Vosloorus house when Meyiwa was gunned down. He's told the court now how he didn't recognize any of the people on the parade that may have entered the house the night Meyiwa was killed. Some interesting developments in court. Also, the defense accusing Judge Meyiwa Murder of interfering with witnesses. Let's bring you up to speed now with our reporter Silindelo Masikane that has been keeping us abreast of this very interesting court, this trial, as it were. Slee, please take us through some of those key takeaways. A really, really interesting day today with Silindelo Madlala speaking also of the positioning of children in the house and where they were. And of course, like I've just said, they're saying that he didn't recognize anybody in that police parade. Take us through some of those key moments today.
I must say the last 15 minutes of court proceedings have been quite dramatic, and that is because the state is now want to push for a line of questioning where it seems like they want Silindelo Madlala to identify one of the 5 men accused in the dock. From what we've heard from his testimony, he says that he was privy to one ID parade, and this was within the 3 days just after the shooting, as well as a sketch ID kit in which he, as well as the others who were in the house, described the 2 intruders who came into the home. Now, it seems as though when Silindelo Madlala asked for an adjournment yesterday when he entered court to begin his testimony, he says he actually recognizes someone who was one of the intruders who is actually inside the courtroom. Let's take a listen to that bite.
It asks you whether are you in the position to identify any of the suspects before court?
If even if I was allowed to mention it yesterday or to say it yesterday, I was even prepared yesterday to say it.
Yes, say it.
This is why I'm breaking up. Hence I requested, can I just finish? Hence I requested that break yesterday, my lord, because what annoyed me yesterday was to be in the same room as that person.
Well, the defense, of course, is objecting the questions that are about to follow following that statement from Silindelo Madlala. But to give us some analysis and to unpack what's transpired in court today, I'm joined by legal expert, that is Mr. Elton Hart from the UJ Law Clinic. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Maybe let's just start with that explosive comment coming from Silindelo Madlala just about 10 to 15 minutes ago, where he says that he recognizes someone who was possibly one of the intruders in the home, and that person is before court. We see the state trying to lead this kind of evidence before court, but of course the defense is objecting. What are just some of your observations with regards to the sitting today, Mr. Hart?
In court, I'm a little bit dissatisfied with how the court handled itself, because it allowed the state too much leeway to ask leading questions and try and sneak in evidence that's prejudicial to the accused. Because from looking at it, the question that Advocate Beloy, the one that actually now raised this explosive conversation or debate in court in the last 15 minutes, is to say that, can you identify one of the suspects in court? And it's like already he's narrowing it down. The only people is sitting in the suspect or the accused box is that 5 people. So it's already drawing that person's attention who's being asked to the 5 people in the, and he should have said, do you see that person in the courtroom maybe? That would have been a broader question, and that person could have looked around and pointed. And the way he was introducing the identity kit also to try and make as if there was identity threats, the court allowed him too much leeway. And I could see also from the judge's side that he was irritated when the defense raised certain objections, which was their right to do so, because the state is continuously trying to sneak in evidence that is not supposed to be before court at this point in time, or at best it should be treated as hearsay evidence, where they make that provision to say it's hearsay evidence and the witness will be called. And you could even hear that Advocate Baloyi did not want to commit to say that the witness Kelly Kumalo will be called or any other witness will be called to come and testify about this evidence. So for me today, it was like you could see that the state forgot that the role of a prosecutor is not to just convict any person that steps into the accused box, but to make sure justice prevails. And to me today, Advocate Baloyi's behavior speaks to sort of prosecutorial misconduct, the way he was handling himself.
Let's now delve deeper into the testimony of Silindelo Madlala today. I must say, in terms of his demeanor, Mr. Hart, he seemed a lot more confident in his answers. Definitely seemed to handle his emotions better than he did yesterday. But in a lot of his answers, he keeps saying, I don't remember, I'm not sure, I don't want to commit to the timelines in terms of what happened or how things unfolded, because he's not too sure of the timeline of events. So what inferences then will the court make on these submissions where it seems Silindelo isn't quite sure of what happened?
Inferences that a court should draw, and I'm not saying the court will draw it, but the inference that the court should draw is that this witness is not reliable or is evasive, because he's being asked, he's not yet under cross-examination and he's not sure about a lot of things, and especially the things where he think maybe if he commits to a timeline now, other witnesses that follows after him will come with different timelines, different dates, and it will not. And this also then opens that can of worms for me, that I think that this witness was coached to say that don't commit to certain things where there's specific details. Rather say, I'm not sure, I can't remember. Then if they say you're not answering, but then the court will say, you have answered, he said, I can't remember, I'm not sure. And that will be a sufficient answer to the court. But the inference that the court should draw is then this witness is unreliable and we cannot rely on his testimony. But if the court will come to that conclusion, it's a different story. But for me, that is already the things that I'm picking up with this witness. And again, I stick to my guns and I say this witness has been coached into a scenario where he says, if it becomes too hot and it's too difficult for you to answer the question, rather just say, I'm not sure, I can't remember. And that to me, then justice will not prevail. And if the prosecutor, for some odd reason, was involved in that coaching, then I think there is serious repercussions that should follow the prosecutor. And obviously, they're not like us lawyers who should be reported to the Law Society or the Legal Practice Council. Then certainly these people should also now bring an application to either remove these lawyers, this state prosecutor, but I already I smell a red here.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Mr. Elton Hart from the UJ Law Clinic, for just some analysis and unpacking day 2 of Silindelo Madlala's testimony here. Quite explosive towards the end, and news just in, Marcel, in terms of one of the advocates who was actually part of this case. You would remember Advocate Malisala Tefo, who withdrew from the matter. We understand, of course, the LPC is trying to get him struck off the roll. We understand that judgment will be handed down here in the North Gauteng High Court on Friday. However, back to the case, we know that Silindelo Madlala will return to the witness box tomorrow for day 3 of his testimony, and possibly cross-examination will also begin. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Great update there from Silindelo Masikane covering the Meyiwa murder trial for us. We'll continue to bring you the very latest here on eNCA.